What's up guys, Jordan here from Team Eternal Hope, bringing you my new and updated Luard deck profile. I've gone away from the Diablo build now, gone more for a newer sort of version people have been playing. I wanted to test it out myself and I personally really like this build. A lot more options, a lot more things to play. Your grade 2 lineup can be a lot different than the Diablo build. Like, you're not forced to play the Hoels and the Cadence and the grade 1 slots and whatnot. So I'm going to get straight down to deck profile. Fortunately, since the last time I have managed to get everything I need to max rarity this deck. So everything that can be SP is SP, everything that can be hollow is hollow, and so on. So I'm going to get straight into the deck profile. The starter is Promising Knight David. Playing this card in testing, I absolutely love it. This card is amazing. Even in the Diablo build, I probably will stick to this guy as my starter. He's really simple, Generation Break 1. When you're retiring your cards for the cost of your unit's ability, he counts as 2 retire. I don't play the stand trigger in this deck that lets you, that counts as 2 and then shuffles itself back into the deck, because David is better because he's a normal unit. You can then shuffle him back into the deck with the Luard and then call him out with Luard or your backup grade 3. So he's very, very helpful with some of your stride units because some of them retire 2 or more, and he counts as 2. So you're basically plussing off your retires and whatnot, and he means you retire less basically. So starter is Promising Knight David. I highly recommend this card to anybody if you're playing this build, if you're not trying it out already. I'm going to go into the stride zone now. A little bit different. 4 drag driver Luard. I understand why people don't like this card, and people only run it at 3 if they play it at all. I personally really, really like this card. I mean, obviously I have other finishers in this deck, but if I've run out of, say, Counterblast and whatnot, I have him to go into, and he helps hit big numbers. He's Ritual 3. If you don't know what Ritual is, it's Shadow Paladin's keyword. It's active if you have 3 or more grade 1s in your drop zone. Ritual 3, when it's placed on Vanguard, Soul Blast 1, flip a face down G unit face up, and call from your deck up grade 1s up to the number of face up drag driver Luards. So if you have 3 face up, you call 3 grade 1s. The unit's called off his skill, gain plus 1k for each grade 1 in your drop zone. So he can help hit you big numbers. I mean, the grade 1 lineup in this deck, the grade 1s hit big numbers for themselves pretty much. Like, they all gain power, some of them gain power and stuff like that. So there have been several times where I've had no counterblast and I've gone into him. He's actually helped me win the game because the numbers he can help generate are really, really strong. I mean, like I say, I can understand why people don't like him or play him at 3 or less, but I personally really like him at 4. In testing, he works really well, and like I say, it's personal opinion at the end of the day. On to 2 Spectral Blaster Diablo. I play the 2. He's probably one of my favourite strides in this deck. He's really simple. Soul Blast 1, flip a face down card in your G zone face up. So basically, you'll be flipping a drag driver. So if you ever do have to stride into him, you can get a plus of, say, 2 or whatever. Retire 1, so you'll be retiring your belly or owls. And then Generation Break 3. When this unit attacks a Vanguard at the end of that battle, you can counterblast 2, retire 2. So David comes in handy with that. Restand him, and he gets drive -2, so he becomes drive, just a single drive check. So you get 4 drive checks off a turn. If you retire a belly or owl, you draw a card as well. So the way I like to think of it is it's a Soul Blast 1, draw a card. If you retire a belly or owl, Counterblast 2, restand. If you're retiring David, you're basically retiring 1. So it's a retire 2 to draw a card and restand, essentially. It's the way I like to look at it. It's a really strong card. He's your main finisher in the deck. If you've got the Soul and the Counterblast. So We have the one Drag Anger Ogma. This card, when it was first revealed, I didn't really think that much of it, but in playtesting, I love this card. It's so good. It's Ritual 5, so same as Ritual 3, but you have to have 5 grade 1s in the drop zone. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, retire up to 5 grade 1s from your side of the board or rear guards, and your opponent sends cards from their side of the board or hand equal to the number of rear guards you retired. So if you retire 5, they have to send 5 rear guards from their hand or rear guard or both. So it's not 5 from each, that'd be way too good. It's up to 5 from hand or field, and if 3 or more were sent that way from both players, you draw a card. So if you retire 3, your opponent then sends 3, you draw a card essentially. So he's really good in certain matchups. I mean, like if your opponent has a big board, he could be a board clear. If your opponent has no board and has a big hand, say you're playing Grand Blue or Pale Moon or whatever, he can diminish their hand and pretty much basically go for game. He only retires grade 1s, unfortunately, but if you do have Abyssal Owls on the board, you do get the counter charge off of them, which is nice. So he's a really nice card to have. 2 Supremacy Black Dragon or Geyser Dragon. I was playing Doomed, but this guy just seems better. They are the SP Revival Collection ones. They look really nice. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When he attacks, retire 2. Flip a copy of himself face up. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. For every grade 1 or less card there, he gains 5k. And add them units to your hand. So again, David, it's basically a retire 1 with him. So Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, retire 1 essentially if you're retiring David. And you get +5 off of him basically, and big numbers. He's very good for hand advantage. He's a very good first stride, so 9 times out of 10 he will be my first stride depending on the matchup. If it's Link Joker, it pretty much is going to be Carnivore Dragon depending on how the game's going and whatnot. But like I say, 9 times out of 10 he will be my first stride just to try and get that hand advantage. 2 Dark Dragon, Phantom Blaster, Diablo. I only played the 2. It's good at 4. Yes, it's a very good card. But with G-Guards running around and stuff, and like I say, I find myself finishing people on other things. I have finished people on him before. But 9 times out of 10 when I use him, they have enough to guard it or whatnot. Anyway, what he does is Counterblast 1, flip a copy of himself. And he gains +10k and a crit. When he attacks, you can retire 3 rear guards. If you do, your opponent cannot guard for cards from their hand unless they retire 2 rear guards. So your opponent basically has to retire 2 rear guards, or they can't call cards from hand to guard. They can still G-guard, but they can't say perfect guard, can't use any card from hand. He's a really strong card. I mean, in the Diablo build, he's really, really good because you can hit huge numbers. He's a 36k, 2 crit, which is really, really nice. But yeah, there's not really much else to say about him, really. He's a really good card. And then we have probably one of my favourite strides, again, is Dark Dragon, Carnivore Dragon. Excuse me. Probably the best stride from a trial deck we have outside of Metallica Phoenix. Sorry. He's basically retire one of your rear guards, so you retire a Belly or Owl, you draw a card. Your opponent selects 2 rear guards and retires them. If they do not retire 2, your entire front row gains +4k. So the +4k is really nice. He has to retire 2, so even if your opponent has the 1 rear guard, then they just have to retire that, and because they're not retiring 2, like I say, your whole front row gains 4k. Next we have our G Guardians. We have the free Dark Dragon, Plotmaker Dragon. You know, the most free G Guard in the game. He's Ritual 3, gain 10k. What more can you say, really? He's ridiculous. And then we have the one Dismal. Dismal's for the Link Joker matchup, for the VMAX matchup. You know, I've seen people playing Ludwig over him for the Link Joker matchup to move their back rows to the Guardian Circle for Arrester. I prefer Dismal to do that because he protects them so they can't be hit with Arrestor's skill. So then it gives you a rear guard in the back row to then retire off a Luard skill. So I prefer him over Ludwig. Once Fighters Collection 2017 comes out and we get the new G guards, the flip ones for the Generation Break 8, I'm not entirely sure how my G Zone is going to be looking, but yeah, we'll get into that. So onto the main board, we have the obvious 4 drag driver Luard. He's broken. He's such a strong card. Ritual 3, at the beginning of your ride phase, you can return 2 normal units from your drop zone to the bottom of the deck, and until the end of turn, you can stride for free. Essentially, the next time you stride for free until the end of turn. And then on stride, plus 1, retire one of your rear guards, search your deck for up to 2 grade 1s or less, and superior call them. So you can put David back with his skill, you can call David back out with his skill. You can call your belly owls, you can call grade 1s to help you hit big numbers and whatnot. He's so good. And the best thing is, if I can't remember which nationals it was, but there was a nationals where a Draw Knight deck with no grade 3s came second, I believe. Just because they're not on grade 3 doesn't mean you can't put the 2 back, you just can't stride. So you can still put the 2 back, so you won't deck out as fast as they will because you're losing 1 card a turn, they're losing 2, because they'll drive check 1 and draw 1, and that's without draw triggers. You're replacing the 2 you drive check off of him, so you're essentially only losing the 1 card you get off his draw. So if it comes down to that, they will be the ones to deck out first. But he's just a very good card for that. You know, he's Cleric Sword, but 100 times better. Plus, in SP, he just looks totally badass. So onto my backup grade 3, we have the 3 Sharp Fang Witch Boddler. She's one of Luard's weaknesses is if you get board clear, there's not really much you can do outside of Drag Driver. But if you don't have the soul, then she's your backup plan. Basically, what she is she's when she's placed on Vanguard or Rigger, count +1, search your deck for up to 2 grade 0 units and superior call them. So you can call David again, you can call your Belly Owls, you can call your How Owls if you need the soul sort of thing. You can basically do anything. So the only problem is she's a 9k, so I will sit on grade 2 if she's the only grade 3 I've had until eventually I can get a Luard. But if I am forced to ride her, which is very rarely in this deck, you know, you pretty much lose at that point because she is only 9k. But she's really good to fish out your owls, to fish out basically anything you need, your Davids or anything. In testing, she works really well. She's a really good card in this deck, but I am tempted to take her down to 2 or maybe replace the 3rd with a Death Spray Dragon or something like that. But at the moment, 3 seems to be working fine. She's good for ditching for stride and whatnot if you don't have the counterblast, then use her. Onto grade 2s, we have the 4 Drag Wizard Morphessa. Ritual 3, on attack, she gains +5k and a new skill, which is counter +1. If she hits a Vanguard, you may search your deck for grade 1 and superior call it. Don't really matter about that, but you don't really use it that much. I use it more in the Diablo build than I would just a pure Luard build sort of thing. But it's the 2nd skill that makes her really good, which is Generation Break 1, drop zone, she gets grade -1. So she helps fill your ritual, she helps call guides to the board if you really want to use that skill, but counterblasting is very scarce in this deck. You mainly use her just for the 14k with a 7k behind her, she's 21, so she helps hit big numbers by herself. It's a 15k guard by herself, essentially. So. And then we go on to the 7 10ks. The thing about the 10ks in this deck is Luard is one of the only decks that can utilize the 10ks well, other than Gear Chronicle, which run, I believe, a maximum of 3 or less. I don't believe they ever run any more than that. The reason why you run the 10ks is because outside of the Diablo build, there isn't that many grade 2s worth running. And like I say, one of Luard's weaknesses again, is the early game. Once you hit late game, you're fine. You have a very, very strong late game, if not one of the strongest late games in the game. It's the early game, the rush that people have been doing. It's a fairly fast format, and the 10Ks help with that. It helps counter rush your opponent. People, like I say, have been calling their starters to the side rear guards instead of behind their vanguard, meaning if they ride into a 9K vanguard, they then can't hit your 10Ks without calling another booster. And same with their rear guards, so you can rush them without fear of you being counter rushed, unless they then call a bunch of cards from the thingy. But yeah, 10Ks are basically in here just to stop the early game and whatnot, plus they help hit big numbers later on with the grade 1s we have. And speaking of grade 1s, we have 4 Dragsaver Ezrus, probably the best, or one of the best perfect guards in the game at the minute. She's standard perfect guard, protect your vanguard, discard a card if your vanguard's being attacked, nullify the attack. Ritual 3, Generation Rig 1, which is in the drop zone. If you have another one in there, so you have 2 in the drop zone, you select 1, retire one of your rear guards, put 1 to the bottom of the deck, add 1 to hand. So you select a Belial Owl, essentially, add 1 to the bottom of your deck, add 1 to hand, and you draw a card off the Belial Owl, which is really, really nice. She's really good in the Link Joker matchup, because in the Link Joker matchup, you need perfect cards to stop their vanguards from hitting you and whatnot. She's just a recycler, basically, a recycler perfect card, and anything that you can recycle that's a perfect card is really strong. We have the 4 Abyssal Owls. Abyssal Owls in here, you do not want to be riding Fodler by any means, so he's in here for that. When he's placed on rear guard from hand, look at the top 7 cards of your deck for a Luard, add it to your hand, and discard cards from your hand that grades equal 3 or more, and send them to the drop zone. So whether that'll be 2 grade 2s, grade 2 and grade 1, 3 grade 1s, or grade 3. His second skill is when he's Ritual 3, when he's retired by the effect of a Luard, so your Luard Grand Vanguard or any of your strides that retire something other than Drag Driver, you countercharge 1. He does count towards his own ritual, so if you only have 2 grade 1s in the drop zone and then you retire him, you do get the countercharge because, like I say, he counts towards his own ritual. I have seen people using him the same way as Belial Owl, where they retire him with the perfect guard and then countercharge because they have a Luard Vanguard. That's not how it works. He has to be retired by a Luard. You have to retire him with your Luard Vanguard. You don't just have to have a Luard Vanguard. You have to retire him with the skill of a Luard. We have 2 Stride Fodder. Stride Fodders are in here because you do not want to be ditching your Foddlers if you don't need to. Foddlers are important. So plus it's a grade 1. It's an easy ditch, easy fuel ritual sort of thing. So basically there's not really much else you can say about them. They just help you stride. And because, like I said, they're grade 1s, they help you fuel your ritual. Next, we move on to probably my favourite grade 1 in the deck. We have 2 Night Sky Eagle. Night Sky Eagle is counter +1. When it's placed on rearguard, gains 4k till the end of turn. Now, he doesn't seem like much. He doesn't seem that strong, but he's really, really good. In testing, this card is... I can't really, it's such a good card. Like, it's 11k booster, it's an 11k attacker, so you can swing at Vanguard with this by itself. You can boost up your 10ks to 21k columns. You can hit 25k if you really want to with your Morfesses. You can even put him behind your Vanguards to hit 36, 37k columns. If you call him out with Drag Driver and you've got, say, 5 rear guards or 5 grade 1s in the drop zone, he's then a 16k column or 16k rear guard by himself, booster, attacker, whatever. It was actually my teammate Nick who said play him. I wasn't very sure on him at first, but in playtesting, I really, really like this card. It's a really, really nice choice for me. I personally really like him. 2 Drag Wizard Nice. I always get these skills mixed up. Ritual 3, when it's placed on rearguard from deck, this unit gains plus 2k. So he's a 9k booster, 9k attacker. He can help hit your opponent's 9k rearguards if they're in the back row. Counterblast 1, choose the rearguard in the same column as this unit. At the end of the battle that this unit boosted, retire that rearguard, and you draw a card. So if you put him in the same column as a Belial Owl, and the Belial Owl's in the front column, boost the Belial Owl with this as the 11k column. Use his skill if you have the counterblast available. Retire the Belial Owl, draw 1 off him. Belial Owl, if you have Luard Vanguard, then draws you another card. So he's also helpful in, again, the Link Joker matchup where they like to lock your front row rearguards. He gives you the ability to then refuse them the ability to lock your front row, and he also stops their big crunches from locking a whole column because, obviously, like I say, he retires the unit in the front row. Last of the grade 1s, we have 1 Decipher of Prohibited Books. I don't run Swordbreaker in this deck, solely for the fact that with the triggers, this deck has so much draw power. It has the Belial Owls, it has the 4 draw triggers, it has the 2 Drag Wizard Nices. There's just so much draw power in this deck anyway. I mean, I may put it in here later on before Nationals, depending on like how testing goes and whatnot. But for now, I'm finding the deck perfectly fine without it. Anyway, what she does is Counterblast 1, Generation Break 1, which is placed on rearguard. You can play the cost, which is again Counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 0 and call it. So call her, Counterblast 1, call Belial Owl, or Howl Owl if you need the soul or whatnot. So she's there just to help you get your plays off if need be. If you need the soul, like I say, you call Howl Owl. If you need draws, you call Belial Owls and whatnot. So she's a nice card, but like I say, I might, if I am going to put Swordbreaker in here, I'd probably take her out for it. On to triggers, we have the so mentioned Belial Owl, but we do play the 8 crit. What Belial Owl does is Belial Owl is, when he's in the drop zone, Ritual 3, at the end of your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Luard in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you have a Vanguard with Luard in its card name, you may put this card on the bottom of your deck. And when this unit is retired by a card effect, if you have a Luard Vanguard, you draw a card. So if you have all 4 on the drop zone, you're Ritual 3 and you have a Luard Vanguard, shove all 4 on the bottom of your deck. The deck shuffles so much so you're not too fussed about them being on the bottom. Plus, anytime he's retired, as long as you have a Luard Vanguard, you draw a card. So if he's retired off your perfect guards, you select him to retire off your perfect cards, you draw a card like I said, and then send them back. Send the perfect card back to your hand and whatnot. So he's a really good card. He speeds this deck up so much. It's probably like I say again, one of the best crits in the game, if not the best. I'm very biased towards this deck. And then we go on to 4 Howl Owl. He's your Margle clone, shove him in the soul, give something 3k. Soul is very hard to come by in this deck, so he's really important. If we had a Flame of Victory clone, which is again a Margle clone but crit trigger, I would be playing 12 crit in this deck, hands down. But unfortunately we don't, so we have the 4 Howl Owl. And then last but not least, we have the obvious 4 Heal Trigger. Once Fighters Collection come out, I will be replacing these ones with the double R ones, the Witch ones from Fighters Collection. So for now, I'm just playing this. So yeah, that's my Luard deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any comments, anything you think I can do to change the deck to make it better. I will be taking this deck to Nationals next month. So anything you guys think I could change to make it better, please comment down below and let me know. Thank you.